you. And I'm most recently co-editor of this anthology, Show Us Your Papers, which was published by Main Street Rag Press. And you can check that out too in the link. There's like 80 poets in here. It's amazing. I'm really so happy to be here. Thank you, Larry and Sean, for this opportunity. I am going to read a sampling of things. I'll start with some poems about the pandemic and then move into some Black history poems. I also want to thank Lena and Harmon. The work is just, Lena and Harmon, just wonderful to be here with you two tonight. Okay, the first poem is called Bandit. We wore bandana masks at first, like Western bandits, folded over quick, tied behind our heads. The Prince logic became neo-sacred geometry. It was saving us, our bodies at least, if not our souls. Death lurked beyond our front door, on the other side of the car door, in the grocery aisle, at the pharmacy. Many citizens chose to stick with, many citizens chose risk with no reward in sight. They wanted out, no matter what. How bad could it be? A bad cough, maybe? In the Western, the bandit sidles up to the counter, shifty eyes peeking out over the bandana's edge, points the gun at the clerk, commands, your money or your life. Our heroine chooses life, forks over cash in fistfuls, empties the till in hopes of saving the world. Today, faced with the same question, our leaders hoard the cash, offer up the citizens as targets. Blood Rise. This is a poem in response to thinking about another epidemic, Ebola, Blood Rise. A woman's work, the calculus of fever breaking, coaxing the sick to eat, laying cool cloths on the brow, trickling water between parched lips, the shooing away of flies, praying for a cure, hoping this fever will break before their bodies do. Someone mentioned something about a killer in the blood, or was it the air, a fever? It moves faster than disease you can get from sex, or the fever you can get from mosquitoes, or the sickness you can get from drinking bad water. No, it was a nightmare of a fever, makes the blood rise. Cause don't matter. So many are dying from fever. It lays in wait like a vulture, circling, circling. In the beginning, there was a baby with a fever his mother could not break. How could she watch his sweet brown eyes bleed? How did she not scream when the sheets turned red? How could she not kiss his hot forehead goodbye? Outsiders. The prison's reputation troubled us. Possible stabbings, gang wars, riots raised alarm. We wondered if he could survive in a bona fide prison, not a jail or a correctional facility for youth. Didn't violent lifers lurk around every corner? Even the new title, East Jersey State, didn't change our hunches about Rahway. To our surprise, he seemed to like it. He said there were fewer knuckleheads and lifers treated it like home. The first time we visited, we had yet to meet mean guards. We had not been held behind rusted gates. We were blinded by gleaming barbed wires. Holding. At 3, Ramon wears more gold than the old Italian ladies in my neighborhood. It glints against the edge of his baby guinea tea. My father smirks at that bright penny of a boy and scoops him up just as he heads out the visiting hall doors. The young mothers nod, look to their own, careening off these beige cinder block walls. The guards gave up this endgame long ago, blocking these fatherless toddlers scrambling toward any man. Shadow of the Hawk. Sweeps over the courtyard, the barn slides up the small city of silos. At first, I think it's casting shadows ahead of itself by some weird bird magic, and then I see its partner circling from the opposite direction. patrolling for prey, for the already dead, lying on the garden's edge by a forest, hidden in the too dry, tall grasses. Before we wake, this hilltop world is alive. Critters and creatures roam this patch of red earth. The other night, Deidre told us she saw something scurry in the half light that was not a bunny. Maybe a fox, a raccoon, who knows? City folks come to the mountains to create, but don't want a thing to do with bugs, snakes, or small animals. I laugh myself, thinking about the field mouse I found swimming in the dog's bowl last fall, how I slammed a cookie sheet on top and ran the whole thing out to the field behind the fence. I was a bit sad until I thought, that fucker might try to get into my house. And I am less afraid of spirit than critters, and that's for damn sure. Revelation. Our spine is so primal, it's otherworldly. Nerves root, weave through vertebrae, facet joints link, twist, and shift as they rise in response to tendons. Discs float and lock, absorb tiny shocks, the nuts and bolts of ambulation. There's something elegant about it, something transcendent in our mammalian curvatures, yet vulnerable. One slip of a disc, entrapped nerve, or locked facet joint can bring us down, walking as if we are stage 3 in the 5 stages of man. Oh, one could get dramatic, exclaim, who thought this evolution to bipedal mode progress? But then we realize how many times we wonder if someone has the spine strong enough to stand against those who wish to tear them down, or how many times we will say that those who disappoint us have the spine of a jellyfish. How many times does the sight of our interior snake make us alien to ourselves? Terrifyingly human possibility, upstanding and upright. I move into the Black history poems. I wrote a lot of poems about my parents' hometown, my father's hometown, Steelton, and both sides of my family come from that town. It's right outside of Harrisburg. Steel Girl. At the bottom of the hill, the mill moans. It is perhaps the most haunting sound, ore turned into steel. I shiver, hug my knees closer. Oh, I know the sound of my soul escaping. It hangs over slumping rooftops, an invitation to a better life. Grandma finds me sitting on the front porch, leaning against the chipping white banister, looking at the sky. She tells me to get my ass in the house. The baby won't stop screaming. Great Migration 1. We went north searching for a better life, followed family from one Columbia to another. Seemed like everyone had to get out, tired of farming, working so hard for so little money. Aaron heard about work at the steel mill, different kind of labor, moving slag, ain't farming rice, dangerous, too goddamn hot. Devil's job. Wish I knew then what I know now. Negro can't make $1 in this country without sweating hard. Hell, don't matter where you live. Still, we were hopeful when we left D.C., but life in Steelton forged my soul. Steelton Speaks, 1948. My grandfather was a poet, so this is about that. Steelton Speaks, 1948. Any fool knows a Negro can't keep his family alive without having bloody knuckles from shoveling coal or scarred arms from stoking the blast furnace. So what makes Will think he can feed all them children writing poetry? Turning phrases ain't nothing like turning steel. He spends all night up there in that attic, reading those books, smoking that pipe, drinking that whiskey, looking out a little window, dirtying his fingers with nothing but ink. And all he has to show for it is another sonnet the white man won't read. I'm gonna, one more Steele poem and then I'll move on. Leaving Bethlehem Steel, 1947. Weary, he takes the hill in big steps, his work boots grip worn brick. This walk is best in spring when nights are cold, ice is distant, and the hills are quiet. Then he can recall the poems he memorized by candlelight in the upper room. As of late, he's been taken by frost-measured ruminations. At the top of the hill, he thinks of the road not taken, yearns for another path. His pace quickens, but he's not in a hurry to get home. There he cannot escape his hunger. It rises from his spine, the spine of every masterwork he reads. Remembering gorgeous turns, he sits on his father's porch, takes off his boots, wonders if he'll ever work with words in the daytime, if he'll ever read his work to anyone but his moonlit reflection, if he will ever live a life worth writing. And one in the voice of my grandmother, his wife. Revision, 1943. When I said our boy could be his best work, I assumed Will would spend hours humming to him, reading poetry, or singing like he does when he's writing. But it seems that he didn't hear me. My boy needs more than daydreams, rhyme schemes, and tight lines to thrive. Billy needs his daddy's rich lullaby, needs to know he is safe in those rough hands. Sure, Will knows how to turn dreams into art, but his own flesh? Use the writer's impulse towards revision and winnow my child down as if he were an errant line, as if wordplay and child's play were the same. I'm going to move to a few, I'm going to do this. I wrote what you call a golden shovel. And so I'm going to do one. This was in the Golden Shovel anthology. The lines are from Gwendolyn Brooks' second sermon on the war plan, conductor blooming in the noise and the whip of the whirlwind. So this is Reflections on Invictus 1, Master. Oppression, racism's root, must conduct itself like a disease, right? Your lesions are rising, sometimes blooming where they cannot be seen. In pink places, interstitial spaces, the flesh opens, releasing the body's noise. What more can be said about a suffering so pure and yet so deeply and humanely black that the whip of understanding snags our backs? Of course, there is something familiar in the desire to control what you cannot see. Pain's whirlwind. I've lost track of time. Where am I? Am I good? Do I have?
You're fine, Cherise.
Can I do a few more?
Absolutely.
Okay. Here's one of my aunts. My Aunt Beth is a painter, and here's a poem about response to her painting called Exegesis. Girl, don't you see the woman in this work? Her thin but strong waist, her brown blank face, a sunflower at midnight. I know it's hard to say who is the cross and who is the martyr, but look at her slight outstretched arms, biceps so strong they could right any man's world as quick as they can raise it. This curve must be her hip, and those must be her legs, twisting down to a point. See how the man's head rests on her worn shoulders, his chin tight against her cheek. His arms give him away, heavy yet limp. Who is the martyr, the man on the cross, or the woman whose body becomes it? And I've been thinking about medicine lately and just about how the world is, we're all hanging on the words of doctors and the words of understanding. And I want to talk about that a little bit. Transformers. 1, accessible treatment. On my way out to the store, I asked Garrett if he needs anything. Bandit, some bananas, whatever they're doing for dinner, apple juice, graham crackers for the kiddo. Oh, and could you pick up a cure for lupus while you're out? I snicker in affirmation. If only it were that easy. Order up a cure at the pharmacy, or, more likely, find them tucked behind the pesticides at the home improvement store. Who doesn't want to live in a world where complete healing is possible, where cure is not a 4-letter word? And two more. 2, the red wheelbarrow question. How's your health? The answer depends on so much on who's asking. Acquaintances. All right, and you? Colleagues. Beginning of the week. I'm good. How was your weekend? Friends. You know how it is. I'm beat. Colleagues. Midweek. Okay, and you? Family. I'm really tired. We're getting takeout tonight. Can you get the mail? Colleagues. End of the week. See you Monday. Don't mention your disease, its flares, its quiet, its aches, or your triumphs. They don't share shit like that with you, so why should you do more than tongue a sore or speak more than niceties? I'm gonna finish with one or two poems from Sugar Babe, The Crown of Sweet Tales. So the Sweet Tale is it's a 10-line poem. It was invented by Allison Joseph. The first, fifth, and the 10th lines repeat. So what I'm going to do is I'll read the first one and a middle one. I wrote these after I discovered Ancestry and found out that I had a great-great-grandmother named Betty Tucker. And this is her story. The poem's called Sugar Babe. 1. Betty Tucker birthed 18 babies, but only 6 lived. At least that's what she told the census taker when he stopped by the house in 1900 to count everyone who stayed there. He must have thought, one of these gals has to have a child. Betty Tucker birthed 18 babies, but only 6 lived. Sure enough, Harriet, barely grown a woman herself, was there with her baby girls, Maud 3 and Berthina 1. On the day the white man stopped by, what did she want to say? Did she want to say something significant about her life? More than yes, I gave birth to 18 babies, but only 6 lived. I'm gonna do the one that's in the middle, the 5th one. Cut a path to joy through grief and pain with a machete. That's the only way to survive this countrywoman's life. So many ways to lose a baby, a child, even grown folks, accidents, disease, and fevers. Death come creeping, so cut a path to joy through grief and pain with a machete. White folks may say, seize the day, same thing in a way, but I don't have the strength to reach. But I don't have the strength or the reach to grab for something that I just can't touch. Save Jesus, I pray to him. But when I walk, I feel the undergrowth holding me, like my fear of death. So I cut a path to joy through grief with a machete. Thank you.